Welcome back, Snoop True. I got one of my friends from high school.
Did you forget my name?
No, I was wanting to do that. It's Evan Ramsey.
Yeah.
I just had to say it just so you know that I remember.
Oh,
her name.
sure, yeah. Yeah, so my name's Evan Ramsey. I'm here with my friend Levante, or as you all know him, Snoop.
Snoop
Yeah, something like that. I remember when he was like, this much shorter than me. It was pretty fun. But yeah, we're going to eat some tasty food today and talk a little bit about, what I do and what he does. So we're pretty excited to share it with you.
We got some Mexican, what is this, El Azteca?
Yeah, absolutely.
El Azteca. So it's a Mexican restaurant down the street. We got some tamales. We got some of the chips. We got some street tacos. What'd you get again?
Choripollo.
The choripollo.
So it's literally some chorizo on top of some pork, and I thought it was a tortilla, but it's legitimately a slab of pork. So I'm pretty excited to eat meat on top of meat on top of cheese.
You know what's weird when whenever I order and I don't say it like Spanish, I'm like, I'll have the choripollo.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you mean the choripollo?
Pollo,
Yeah,
the double L. Gotta have that little roll.
All right, let's go ahead and get a prayer and a thumbnail diving. Thank you, Lord, for this food we're about to receive. Amen.
Amen.
You can just go ahead and say cheese. I don't know if this is gonna run the green screen. I'll set that to the side. I'll just grab maybe a little bit of this taco. You just want to just say cheese.
Cheese?
Yeah, just for the thumbnail, just look into the camera and
while we're eating.
you just say cheese. Just
cheese.
look in the for that. It's his first time.
Yeah, it's my first time. I gotta check out this choripollo right here.
I'm actually excited to have you on because I've hit up not necessarily a lot of people Vonnie, right? I hit him up and I know he's probably busy with his music stuff, but he just never responded or leave me on red. I really like what you're doing as far as what you've been doing for a while. I know you're doing music for a while, and then you do your giving stuff, and I honestly really like that. We talked last time I was in Wisconsin, and I'm you are really just such a stand-up guy and such a almost motivating just to because you don't see a lot of people that come out of at least Nina or the Fox Valley that follow their dreams instead of getting into corporate stuff.
Yeah,
just doing what they want to do.
Yeah, and I spent a lot of time making music. I spent about 10 years doing that. Wasn't very successful. I did a lot of my own stuff that was pretty unique and different.
Mm-hmm.
Got to meet a lot of cool people. As we talked about it, I met Kenny Hoopla. He did some photography for me before he got into music when he was a young kid.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, just got to do a lot of stuff and a lot of cool experiences traveling, going around the world, and not necessarily with music, but traveling on my own time. And I had all these experiences that a lot of my friends didn't get to have.
Mm-hmm.
So I recently started this brand called Ramsey's Adventure Club, where I sell apparel and I use the proceeds from that to send people on adventures. So it's worked out pretty well so far. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun to give people some incentives to cut the excuses and live their life. That's kind of our tagline. To get people out there and to experience the world.
And you were telling me a little bit anytime people buy your apparel, they're entered into the raffles and stuff that.
Yep. So right now, basically any purchase that you make on Ramsey'sAdventureClub.com automatically enters you into the current giveaway that we have going on. And what that is a $1,000 Airbnb gift card and a $500 flight gift. And what that means is you're going to have $1,500 to book your next adventure, because that's something that we always try to do. Part of our proceeds from anything that we sell is always going towards sending people just like you on more adventures. So that's a big focus for us. And so far it's worked out really well.
And it's dope. You got a lot of people supporting you. I see a lot of people I see them I think Zach Mesco.
Oh yeah, Zach Mesco's actually on the designs for some of the hoodies that we're selling right now. So one of the first trips that we sponsored was a ski trip to Iron Mountain. It's called Pine Mountain in Iron Mountain, Michigan. And Zach was one of the people that we brought. And Zach had never skied or snowboarded before in his life. And when I snowboard, I usually take off my glasses and I put on my ski goggles. And without these glasses, I can't see, past my hand. So the first run that we did, I was leading everyone and I wasn't paying attention to what hill I was going down.
Mm-hmm.
And sure enough, I hit a double black diamond run. And for me, it was pretty intense. But for somebody who had never skied before, like Zach, he was completely out of control going down this hill at Mach 3 and legitimately almost died. And so anyway, with that event, luckily he fell when he was going a lot slower, so he didn't get hurt. But he was, pretty spooked and ended up on the, training hill the rest of the night. But I wanted to remember that moment for the rest of my life. And one way that I decided to do that was working with my graphic designer out in Portland. His name is Jonah. And, I told him.
Is Jonah, he go to UWM?
Milwaukee? Yeah, Jonah Spade.
Jonas Spade. You know Jonas Spade.
Yeah, he's the guy who does all my logos and stuff.
No, that's what I know Jonas Spade.
Oh, nice.
That's crazy.
But yeah, so anyway, I went to Jonah with this idea of like, okay, I want to commemorate this first event that we did. And I told him about how Zach went completely out of control, was flying down this hill. And so I told him that I wanted to have him in the front of the design on skis, and then have the two pros that we had with us. Their names are Jessica and Glenn. Absolutely. And anyway, then it was my friend Tyler and I, Tyler Paul. And anyway, so it was basically the rest of us chasing Zach down this hill.
I know, I haven't heard these names in years. I know Tyler Paul.
Yeah, but so basically it's like there's two different hoodies that you can get with that design that's really big on the back. And then there's also a design on a t-shirt of me running away from a bear as a cartoon. And then last but not least, one of the first trips that I did once I decided to start the brand was I went out to California, rented a motorcycle in San Francisco, and drove the bike up the coast of California, up into Oregon. Stopped in Gold Beach, Oregon, and then I rode across the state over to Medford and Ashland, and then I rode I-5 down to, can't remember what city I turned at, but I went to Happy Camp, where my oldest sister is a wildfire firefighter, Kelly Ramsey. Hey, how you doing? So I stayed with her for a couple days, and then after that I rode the bike down to Sacramento, and then back to San Francisco.
You are just kidding.
So the whole time I had every single thing I needed for 2 weeks strapped to this bike. So I have a t-shirt that I'm selling that has that design basically just like it really was, with me on this bike and a pile of stuff that was behind my back that was legitimately up to my neck because I had so much stuff piled on it. So yeah, it was a pretty wild experience. I almost lost the bike when I went to Jedediah Smith State Park. It's a great place to see the redwoods if you ever want to go do that. But there is an entrance to this park that's really narrow and a sharp turn uphill, and it had rained that morning. So as I turned the corner, the rear tire of the bike slipped down the hill, and that took the whole bike with it. So the whole bike was down the hill while I was standing at the top of it. And I was like, what am I going to do? Like, I'm so screwed. This bike is, 600, 700 pounds. I can't move it by myself. But luckily, there's a guy who drove past who was familiar with how to get stuff like that out, because he told me that he gets his four-wheeler stuck all the time.
Yeah.
So luckily he and I partnered and pried this thing out of the dirt and rolled it down the hill the rest of the way. And I was able to get out, and the only thing that I did was I broke the brake lever, and not the whole brake lever, just like the tip of it busted off. So it still worked. So yeah, it worked out pretty well. When I got back to drop the bike off, they asked me what happened, and I just told them it fell over somewhere and didn't know. But yeah, it was definitely a wild experience. I got to camp underneath Mount Ashland one night, and it was 17 degrees, and I stayed in a tent by myself outside. It was miserable, but I didn't die, so that was pretty cool.
So, two things. I thought about wanting to do kind of like one because I can support myself off YouTube, and I kind of wanted to travel around the country, and I looked at a lot of what you did and kind of man, I wonder how the van life would be for that. I mean, you said you did the motorcycle thing, but you ever think about doing the van life stuff?
Absolutely. Yeah, and I thought about getting a conversion van or one of those big passenger vans for a while. I never ended up doing it just because I love riding motorcycles. But it really improves how far you can travel at once.
Yeah.
So if you're in a car, you're not subjected to the elements. You're not in a tight position the whole time. You can drive for 10, 12 hours a day. On a bike, if you go more than 4 hours, you're going to be miserable the next day. And even if you take breaks every hour, you're going to be miserable if you travel too far. So it's definitely a great option because it lets you do things for a lot longer time. It lets you see a lot more, so you can accomplish more in each day than if you're on a bike.
You know Alex Honnold?
No, I don't.
He's a rock climber.
The only rock climber I know is Jeff Simpson. Remember him from high school? I think he's a swimmer.
No. Alex Honnold is he did the free solo. But he had
watched that.
I think a lot of those rock climbers are van line people because they go around to Yellowstone and it's kind of living in a van. But he was doing a giveaway with I forget what the thing was, but they were giving away a conversion van, and I spent $100 trying to win that van.
Yeah, I always get interested in those, but since I'm selling my own stuff, I generally don't buy in, but and especially because I'm giving away my own things. Like it's a great thing that a lot of companies are doing now in so many giveaways where a lot of them make it so you don't even have to, buy anything, which is pretty great. It's just to get their name out there. So that makes it a lot of fun to engage with some of these brands.
Yeah. And you were telling me that you, at least for now, like you started doing it like out of your pocket with the goal of kind of like, it's gonna be like self-sufficient to where like you're gonna be able to send people on trips, which I think is honestly like probably one of the coolest things ever, especially because like you have good merch. I didn't know like you had Jonah because I actually got a funny story about that, but small world, because Kenny and Jonah GoPro was just cut off. Hold on. I'm not like friends with Jonah or anything like that, but he's really good friends with Rob. And if most of you guys know who Rob Baker is, of course, and he designed Rob's merch.
Oh, sure.
Rob hasn't put anything out yet, but and I think he started working with Cho too. I think Rob introduced him to Cho to like start doing work. But I met him when I went to UW Milwaukee, and I think we went and like smoked some K2.
I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, I actually met Jonah.
I'm gonna delete that part.
Sure. But yeah, I actually met Jonah at some like bar opening, like grand opening event down in Milwaukee when I was living with Joe and with Taylor Davis. He was doing this, art display where, a bunch of different artists from around the city of Milwaukee got this, like each got like a, 8x10 panel where they could paint whatever they wanted. And I was doing a bunch of photography down there and was with Joe and Taylor.
Can I have a piece of it?
Absolutely, man.
Sure.
Yeah.
I see you're not hungry.
Oh, I've just been talking to you.
Yeah, it's wrapped up, yeah.
Oh,
the lights. It's the light.
Perhaps. But yeah, so basically, I met them, and Cho was good friends with Jonah at the time, and he introduced me. And I just kind of kept up with the artwork that Jonah was doing over the years, and I was just really impressed with some of the designs that he had. So last year in the summertime, I had 2 motorcycles at that time, and I went out with my brother-in-law because I was desperate to have somebody ride with me. So he used one of my bikes, and I used the other. And we pulled over at the Weewash State Trail and joked about like, oh, maybe you should start like a motorcycle club. And he's like, no, man, that sounds like a gang. Don't do that. So then I was like, well, maybe there's something else I could do. And, I did a poll on Instagram. And I was like, hey, what sounds better, Ramsey's Adventure Club or Ramsey's Motorcycle Club? It was 100%.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Adventure Club.
Exactly. So every single person that voted said Adventure Club was better. So then I went straight to Jonah. And I was like, hey, Jonah, I've got this idea. Can you help me out? I need some logos for this idea where it's all about adventure. And I want to incorporate it with a little bit of motorcycle riding in there too. So, he came back to me with like 18 different logo designs. I think it might have been 16. But, I only wanted one. And I was like, these are all so awesome that I want to buy all of them. So I got every single logo that he made. And then a couple extras that he did like of the RAC, just the letters instead.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I have a ton of logo options thanks to him. And he's somebody that I've worked with a lot just in trying to figure out different ways to help the business grow. And different ways to, connect with people in regards to adventure.
To me, that is so, I'm not going to say funny, but like Jonah Spey of all people.
Yeah. Yeah, he's been a huge help of mine. And obviously I love all the artwork that he does.
He's good.
He's always working on something, and he does a lot to focus on like mental health as well, which I think is really important.
Yeah.
And him and I have had a lot of conversations about, trying to get people outside and get people moving. And that's a big reason why we came up with that tagline of cut the excuses, live your life. Because, everyone's got something that holds them back from doing what they want to do, whether it's money, time, energy, whatever it is. There's always something that prevents you from being happy. And every single one of us can call that out and say, well, I wasn't happy today because of this. And in my opinion, in my perspective, is that if you try every single day to make yourself happy, you're going to succeed.
I have 3 things to say. One, did you know that this is just chicken under here? I thought this was bread.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, that's what you're saying?
I think it's pork, but yeah. So like that's what I'm saying. I thought it was like a tortilla, but it's legitimately just meat, cheese on top of meat. It's like that chicken sandwich that was chicken, bacon in the middle.
Who made that?
When was it? Wendy's?
I feel like KFC. The double down.
It had to be KFC.
Another thing I was gonna say is, you, Kenny, Joe, Jonah, you guys all like love what you do.
Oh, absolutely.
And for me, there was, and it's like, you probably, like, you do it for free. And for me, I was just saying in like one of my last videos, for the first time, like, it's easy to lose because I've always eaten like nice meals, but I've never just been someone who's like gluttonous and just eating, like, no disrespect to, any other mukbangers, but I've never just, like, if you see me on my channel, I don't eat a lot of fast food. Like, if anytime you see me, like, it's always a nice meal, just because I'm just not like, I'll eat, but I won't eat bullshit, But sometimes you like lose motivation, especially when I'm filming by myself, because I've been filming by myself a lot. It's just like kind of like overwhelming. But I was like at a hotel, and the lady was like asking me how the hot tub was or whatever, and I'm like, it's kind of warm. Some random lady, okay. And then she's like, and then I said something about the sauna, and she's like, what's your name? I was like, Levante. She's like, I just watched your YouTube video.
Really?
I was so flattered.
That's awesome.
I'm like, I almost got 9,000 followers, but the fact that in Wisconsin Rapids of all places, somebody sees my video, I'm like, she stops me and recognizes me. It's just like, those type of things, like, I'm sure, like, there's probably, you were telling me, like, losing motivation, like, to music. But if, like, any situation like that pops up, I'm like, it's just one of those more steps just to keep pushing and keep going,
Yeah, there's always going to be those moments where you doubt yourself. You think that your ideas aren't good. You think that what you're creating isn't good enough. And a lot of times, life will hand you those reminders that, like, no, you're doing the right thing. You got to keep after this.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of musicians that come to mind when I think of that. And there's another kid from Milwaukee. He goes by Micah Emmerich. I'm not sure if that's his real name. I've only ever praised him on social media. So if he sees this, what's up, dude? But anyway, he's just a super talented artist that I think really has a lot of potential. And knowing what it's like to be an artist that doesn't get the support that you expect or that you think you deserve, giving those shout outs every chance that you get for those artists just is another, level of motivation that they need. And I mean, they always appreciate it too. But I just know that when I was a musician, if I had somebody doing that for me every week or every 2 weeks or every month, just reminding me like, hey man, I don't even know you, but what you do is awesome and you should keep doing it. Having that extra motivation is just so crucial.
My outro is actually a Milwaukee rapper.
Who is it?
Sherrod Sloans. He used to go by Pizzle. It's actually my friend Levante's older brother. I think he had a lot of hype back in the city, but then like now, I know his like deterrence is he makes just like a lot of the Milwaukee rap scene is kind of like Kia Boys and like trap, like stealing car type music, and he's just like not on that,
Sure.
I think he had like a, Ishtar.
Oh yeah.
He kind of had like a little like beef with Ishtar of who was the best rapper in Milwaukee, but he's like on that wave, not like a Spanish Rice. Do you know Spanish Rice?
No.
Okay, they're talking about stealing cars and shit.
Sure.
And selling drugs. So he's not on that wave, but he's my outro. It was my intro and outro, but then I got rid of the intro because the YouTube algorithm, people leave after 30 seconds. All you need people is to watch 30 seconds and you get a view. If they watch anything other than 30 seconds, you don't earn that view.
Okay.
So you need to keep them interested in the first, whatever.
That's a good idea. You got to do something.
But yeah, and then it's like, who's going to listen to this first 30 seconds of, a song they don't know. But I like the song. I like him as a rapper. I think he's a lot better than he's gotten credit for. And he's, I think that's all he does, though. He produces, like, a lot of music and stuff. Like, he's got his own studio in Milwaukee and stuff, too. So,
nice.
Honestly, I love, like, supporting, like, really, like, any local people. And it's cool seeing, like, my cousin going crazy. Kenny.
He's actually your cousin?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, Kenny's going.
Dude, I did not know that.
It's funny because we had 2 family reunions, and we were all going to go to Nina because there was a banquet hall. But Trey, Tremaine Payne.
Oh, yeah.
He had people at his house. So everyone else, just like me and my brothers, everyone else went to Nina, and Kenny was there, and I'm like, I went there to find out Kenny.
Oh, sure.
But yeah, Kenny's actually legit my 100% cousin. We're all from Cleveland. We are, his older brother, Brandon. So Levi and Kenny were actually really good friends. They were skateboarding together, doing their, what do you call it when you break dance?
Breakdancing, yeah.
Windmills and stuff. But yeah, Kenny's always been, I'm not going to say different, but I'm going to say different.
Yeah, I mean, I've only had the pleasure of meeting him a couple times when he was younger. Because, he did some photo shoots for me and Cullen back when we released a musical project called the Icarus Accounts. He did a promo shoot for us.
Mm-hmm.
But then he also, when I met him, was at, there's this bar on Wisconsin Ave that has changed names like 100 times in Oshkosh. And I think it was like Wingers when I was a freshman in college. You got some sauce in your beard. But I don't know what it's called. But anyway, so we were at this show that a couple of other artists were performing at, and Kenny happened to be there. And one of my friends convinced me to kind of butt in on this show, which I still feel bad about to this day. But he asked the DJ if he could just like plug his phone in with my beats on his phone. And I performed like an impromptu set at that event.
Mm-hmm.
And Kenny happened to be there. I think he was hanging out with John Schaefer and Keith Diddle at that time. But anyway, I performed a couple songs and I got to talk to him after that. And then he happened to be at the Main Street Music Festival that year in Oshkosh where I performed. And he did some amazing photos of that night. And he sent me all of them that he took of me, and I still have them to this day, and they're awesome.
That's
but
awesome.
Anyway, so...
Did he put his tag on them?
He did not, no. But anyway, so once he sent me those, I knew that like this kid's special. Like he's got extremely high levels of talent. So when Colin and I made that Icarus Accounts project, I reached out to Kenny right away. I was like, dude, can you do some photos for us?
What's Icarus like? What is that?
So basically the Icarus Accounts was it's a 3-song project.
Icarus is, that's the guy who flew too close to the sun, right?
Absolutely. So yeah, Icarus. So I've always been obsessed with Greek mythology. And the story of Icarus is basically that Icarus and his father, I can't remember his father's name, got stuck in the labyrinth for being, I think they were punished by one of the gods. But anyway, Icarus's father built both of them a set of wings to fly out of the labyrinth because they couldn't find their way out. And they had to go separately because, there's 2 sets of wings. And the father went first and told his son what to do. Don't fly too close to the sun because the wax in the wings will melt. And you'll fall to the sea. Don't fly too low because the moisture from the sea will collect on the wings and make them too heavy. So obviously Icarus went too close to the sun. He was having too much fun. His wings burnt up. He fell into the ocean and he drowned.
Isn't he Cupid's son?
That's a good question. I don't know that much.
So there's I don't mean to cut your story.
That's all right.
Go ahead. Let me go finish the story and then I'll go ahead.
Oh, sure. Well, yeah, basically, I wrote some songs that I thought kind of aligned with that story. In particular, there's a song called Icarus and the Scribe, where I wrote different verses, and I had my friend Cullen, performing that song with me, and he performed the last verse that I wrote to provide different perspective. But basically, one of the verses is about basically an overseer, somebody who witnesses Icarus fly out of the labyrinth.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second verse, which Cullen performs, is more of Icarus's perspective, where he, is flying in the sky and all of a sudden wakes up on the beach, surviving though, and burnt to a crisp, not knowing what the heck just happened. So anyway, it was just something that I wrote because I thought it would be fun, and I really loved working with Cullen. He's an incredibly talented musician, and I hope he's still doing it. Cullen, if you see this, please don't stop making music. Yeah, because right now I know he's running it's kind of like an online thrift store. It's called Tree Fort Thrift. And basically he sells a whole bunch of crazy collectibles. So I would recommend checking that out if you're into like really unique things. I know I saw him post like some Lion King ornaments in the last couple of days where it's like all the characters from Lion King. Like
the thought of an online thrift store, I've never heard of that. I think that would be actually really cool.
Yeah, he's always got some really interesting things on there.
I'm gonna take him out.
Yeah, a lot of like, especially if you're a collector of like cards and stuff. I know I've seen a lot of like basketball cards on there. But yeah, just a really talented guy, and I'm happy to be one of his good friends.
One thing about like you have a lot of interesting friends.
I think
me to say, I'm not gonna say we were friends because you were a grade older.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you bullied me. No.
What?
Honestly, you're probably one of the nicest guys, and it's weird because a lot of people like held you to like sort of like a Evan can beat anyone up standard.
Absolutely.
But you were never like
No.
like that.
The only time I was ever mean to anyone is if I witnessed you pick on somebody else. Then I would be mean as shit to you, honestly. And like I remember specifically leaving lunch one day, and there was these two kids, and I won't say their names, that were friends with my little sister. They were in your grade, and they were bullying this little kid who was, I can't say it.
Can you say it out
No, after yeah, okay, I'll tell you. But I saw these kids bullying this kid down the hall. They were kicking the bottom of his feet as he was walking, so he would trip up. And eventually they kicked him hard enough to where he fell. And I immediately grabbed both of their heads and I just clapped them together so their heads hit each other.
What year was this? I bet I can guess who they were.
This was probably when I was a senior.
Caleb.
Let's just say they had shaggy hair. Both of them did, but who didn't in high school?
Me.
But yeah. Anyway, so when I witnessed that, that's the kind of situations that I would be mean to people. But generally, I generally felt like I was someone who would rather protect people than injure them. But I did have that reputation. I don't know why. I think it was just because I was bigger than everyone.
Yeah.
That and I had tattoos as soon as I was like this first month of being a senior in high school. I had all tattoos, so like kids were afraid of me.
But you were never like aggressive to people though.
No. Unless it was in football. Football, I was a mean dude.
Yeah, and it's weird. It is weird because it's almost like if this was like the OC or Laguna Beach, it's like he's the mean sweetheart. He's not even mean.
No. But yeah, I definitely got that rap a lot. Like I remember when I was in college and I worked at Nike, and when I got there was like 3 kids that went to Nina that were in your grade that were legitimately afraid of me until they had to work with me. And they're like, dude, you're not as bad as I thought. And it was like, yeah, like, because no one gave me a chance to like prove that I wasn't this villain.
Right.
But a lot of people had that perception, and I think a lot of it too is that like, I was competitive too, and a lot of people wanted to compete. And in high school, there's always somebody looking to challenge you. So
yeah, I mean, the only reason I even know that is because I know like one, at least in the black community, we don't really say like anyone can beat us up, or whether if you can or not, we're like, I whoop Evan's ass, type shit. Like,
there's
you never back down. And then it was like Evan Ramsey, and they'd be like that. So that's the only reason I knew, because they'd be like, no, you can't take Evan Ramsey. I'm probably little as hell. I guess I can.
Oh man,
but not even just you, but just like really like anyone. And that's the only reason like I know that. I'm like, oh, they love him. Like he's the toughest guy on the plane. But I'm like, he's not a rude guy. He's not mean. He's not a bully.
My nickname as a kid though was Rude. My dad called me Evan Rude and just called me Rude for short. But yeah, I'm generally not a very rude person. Except for now, I just cut him off, I guess. But yeah, it's interesting how that happens, and it's funny. I don't know if it was you or your brother that just shared a video of like how family fights start or something, like where somebody punched Mike.
Oh yeah, that was me. Yeah, because it was my youngest brother and then Mike. Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember in high school, Tremaine and I used to do that after gym class. We'd punch each other in the stomach and see who had stronger abs, and. I remember one in particular where I swear you heard his wrist punching me. But we both did it, and obviously neither one of us flinched, and we were both real tough guys. But but I remember doing that specifically when we were like 13 or 14 years old.
Y'all should do that now.
No.
Nowadays, no. Damage some organs.
Oh man, my spine would probably break now. I'm definitely a lot more fragile than I used to be.
Oh, that's it. So crazy. But I think I honestly just mukbanged right before this.
You did?
I did, yeah.
Dang.
Because it's Vlogmas. I'm trying to get like a lot. I actually ate like a lot more than I thought I was gonna eat. But I have been drinking a little bit, which like really like has my. I don't smoke or anything like that. So
yeah, definitely.
You're slowly digging in.
Oh yeah, eventually. It's just when I talk, I don't have time to eat.
But no, like before we even started filming, me and him are going at like back and forth, like just conversation. I'm like, I already know this is gonna be a fucking hour.
Yeah.
And the thing, I don't know where my GoPro is, but this is good. I hope to have you on, and you want to like start a podcast and all that stuff too.
Yeah.
I was thinking about. I was telling you like earlier, like I want to like do something more serious outside of mukbanging after this, but once I get like the 10, 15K or whatever. But you want to start one too as well.
Yeah. So basically what I want to do for my podcast is to, bring on people who feel like they've had really interesting adventure experiences. And that doesn't necessarily mean anything to do with travel. It could be that like, you I'm trying to think of anything like, for example, I had this friend from elementary school. His name is Bo Thomas. Bo, if you're hearing this, good to see you, man. Even though I can't see you. But Bo and I went to elementary school at Aldo Leopold in Green Bay. And when we were kids, this guy was obsessed with soccer. I remember playing soccer with him, in the rain, where those squishy foam balls would soak up all the rain and all of a sudden become like 30 pounds. And yeah, I remember playing with him when we were kids. And anyway, so over the years, I've noticed that like he and I kind of had some parallels where I was experimenting with music and so was he. I can't remember the name of his group that he was in, but yeah, he spent a lot of time making music, and then also was really into graffiti art. And over the last 5 years, his graffiti art has just exploded, and like all kinds of schools and businesses and even the cities of Green Bay and other cities have paid him to do graffiti on buildings and anywhere really. Like he's done skate parks, he's done all kinds of stuff. So he's someone that I would really love to bring on the show and just kind of ask, like, how did that happen? How did you start as this young kid that loved soccer and, was a really nice kid and, very structured in terms of what he liked, at least from what I knew, to all of a sudden becoming this, like, incredibly creative person that has really done everything his own way for as long as I've known him. So, yeah, that's kind of stuff that I would like to talk about.
What about, like, okay, so, like, let's say, like, someone wins one of your raffles and they take the trip to Iceland or whatever and they come back, like, would you have them on, like, to talk about their experience? Or
absolutely.
Like, how, like, because I feel like that'd be, like, pretty interesting, especially, like, if they had a blast and it's kind of just, like, something that's just, like, wow, this was out of the blue, like that thing,
Yeah, so the original plan was, because I did an Iceland giveaway earlier this year where I tried to send 2 people to Iceland and I paid for a week stay for each of them. One was in this really fancy hotel, and one was in like a 3-bedroom house. And the plan originally was to go with them and then basically document their experiences and share their experience with other people. However, it didn't work out that way because both of the winners elected to take gift cards. But I know that there's one of the 2 winners who still plans to go to Iceland with that prize. And, that's definitely something that I would do. Her name is Jasmine. She won the larger of the 2 prizes. She lives out in, I think it's Weed, California, I think is the city she lives in.
It's just like random people.
Yeah.
Anywhere that buys stuff.
Yep, anyone that buys it can win. Generally, I like to limit to people who are 18 or older, but just for legal reasons. But anyway, so like when she goes, like absolutely, I would love to bring her on, and it'd be obviously have to be remote most likely, unless I flew out to California. But ultimately, yeah, it'd be easiest that way if it was remote, and just kind of ask her, how was that experience, and what really stood out to her. So that's definitely something that I could see happening.
That's really dope. We talked about a little. Wait, what did we talk about earlier? Is there a promo or something?
Oh yeah. So yeah, there's a couple of things. So obviously the giveaway now is if you purchase anything at all, you'll be entered to win the $1,500 in travel incentives. But we're also doing a Snoop discount promo code that you can use. That'll be Snoop15 for 15% off your first purchase. And like I said, that purchase is still going to count towards entering you into the giveaway. But
I should probably actually, hold on, let me do a thing, because I'll probably put that in the beginning.
Okay.
Because we're probably doing an hour. I don't know how long.
Yeah, whatever. As long as I can get to Kakana by, around 8:30. Hold on a second.
we might have to go ahead and...
they're heading there now, but I can be late.
Yeah. This is good. I hope to have you on again. You gonna be on here?
Absolutely.
Cool. I will be in. I'm leaving for Arizona tomorrow, and it's kind of crazy getting people. But one thing I like about Evan is because like normally I'm just getting like family on, but and we're just talking like family stuff. But he actually does like a lot of things that like I like in like people like. Y'all know like James Mizuki and Rob, they do like the giving app. So his is like something very similar. Like he's like, when you're saying you like, especially now it's like coming out of your own pocket, eventually and trying to like make it maintain itself. But it's just like someone who was just wanting to see like other people like travel and do like things like that, which I really appreciate. I really like his merch. It's good stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of organic.
I wish you would have worked. Something.
Yeah, I was at work before this, so I brought a winter cap that. Dang it, where is it? There it is. Yeah, this is the winter hats. One of the winter hats that we're selling. It's got one of those PVC patches that are like textured, so it's like raised up. It's pretty cool stuff.
It's good merch.
But yeah, it's something that like, you know, I kind of put a lot of faith into the generosity of people. And yeah, at first, you know, with that Iceland giveaway especially, you know, that the money that went towards those prizes came entirely out of my pocket right up front. And then I basically banked on the fact that people are going to buy the merch to help me pay for this giveaway that I'm giving. And that's exactly what I'm doing now again, is that like, you know, the first one went pretty well. So now I'm doubling up on that and giving away even more to give people incentive to like, hey, like you get merch, which you would get from anyone, you know, like if you're buying a t-shirt, except not only are you getting that, but you're also getting a chance to get something much better back. And it's a travel experience. It's an opportunity to go see something that you've never seen before.
I'm about to buy 100 shirts.
I don't know if I have that many, so.
Where can they find you?
Right here. No.
I know you got 2 Instagrams. You got the Ever and Ramsey.
Yep. So the
personal.
Yeah, my personal one was back from when I was making music, and now if you follow Ramsey's Adventure Club, that'll be what's the business page. Otherwise, at ramseysadventureclub.com is our website. And if you go to that first screen right in the homepage, you'll see the video that tells you a little bit about the giveaway that we have going on now. And it's basically plastered on the pertinent pages, so you can find more information if you need.
And I'll have all your links in below. Any other links if you want me to?
I would say that those are probably the biggest ones that I use. Facebook too, but Instagram is definitely my number one. TikTok, I'm on there. I don't use it too much, but yeah, at Ramsey's Adventure Club again.
Oh, TikTok is much. You don't do YouTube yet, do you?
Not much. I think I have like 2 videos posted on there.
2 videos. You want that?
Sure.
You want a link?
Yeah, I think it's also Ramsey's Adventure Club. Luckily I've got pretty much everything locked down for my company name across most all platforms until they make new ones. And I just have to
right until they because they're really find me on Evan Ramsey Club on the Metaverse.
Yeah, exactly. So who knows what they'll be next, but ultimately right now I've got it pretty much locked down on everything.
You can find me on Snapchat, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Lecarson, and Lecarson on Twitter.
That's a long one.
I'm glad to have y'all. Y'all, this was so great because I've been hitting up so many people, and he's someone I've always wanted to work with, just because he's done so much. From you did photography for a while, didn't you?
Yep, I did.
Photography. You did music. You're doing giveaways. You're doing merch. It's fucking dope.
Thanks.
It's cool shit.
I appreciate it.
And you were the anti-high school bully, so
yeah, definitely. At least I tried to be. But, depending on who you ask.
It's good having you on.
Yeah, you as well, dude.
But y'all, Snoop TV is out.
Peace out, everybody.
Oh, keep my shit been going. Oh, see, no, you are not my bro. Please quit acting like you know me.